Hello and welcome back to Zeekism. So Jimmy Kimmel is back, reinstated. I know it's old news to a certain extent, but by the time you watch this, he may have already, his show may already be back on the air, because I'm recording this on Tuesday night. An interesting turn of events. It's been a hell of a week. This time last week we were talking about sudden cancellation or suspension of his late night show in America due to a joke comments he made on his show about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the potential perpetrators. And then since then, Disney suspended him, postponed his show indefinitely, after his show was refused to be put on local channels. I believe that was the instigation in America due to Nexstar, and seemingly that's still the case. So the reintegration of him seemingly, and this is an assumption because obviously that's not been confirmed by Disney, is that the pressure from a lot of, let's be honest, Hollywood celebrities, famous media types, petitioning against Disney, the cancelled Disney Plus that went over the weekend, it's probably had something to do with it, and contracts they all have signed with him. So it's Disney bowing down to certain degrees of paymasters, you would assume, or certain people they're working with or need to work with or have signed up to work with. Either way, I think it's a mess that Disney have waded into, not of their own making obviously, but certainly one they haven't really handled, in my opinion, very well. So here we go. Here's the AP I've gone to. God's honest truth, I've tried to find an unbiased news source to be able to read an article about this, and there's not many that exist, funnily enough, weirdly, either one leaning one way or the other. Don't you just miss the days where you were able to just find out news rather than what people think of the news? Gosh darn it. But here we go. Why was Jimmy Kimmel's late night show suspended and then reinstated? Here's what we know. This was the fairest one that I could find. New York ABC will reinstate Jimmy Kimmel's late night show after the network pulled the host off the air indefinitely in the wake of criticism over his comments about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk earlier this month. The network said that executives had thoughtful conversations with Jimmy and reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. Kimmel's comments did not extensively focus on Kirk, who was a close ally of President Trump, but took aim at Trump and what Kimmel called his MAGA gang of supporters for their response on the September 10th killing. I think that statement there is going to be dependent on your point of view. I've watched the comment. To be honest with you, and I'm very central in everything. I'm surprised this is what he got cancelled for, considering he said a whole of a lot worse. I mean, if it was political inference, taking him off the air, this is one of the, I won't say the most minor things he's ever said, but certainly for someone who's been a staunch critic of everything MAGA and everything Trump over the last few years, this seems, I don't want to say innocuous, but one of the sort of lesser things he's advocated for or said, but it is what it is. Here we are. And here I think the key is this: two of ABC's largest affiliate owners, Nexstar and Sinclair, who run the local stations that I'm referring to across America, said that they will not carry Kimmel's return on their stations, which represent about 25% of all affiliates. They had stopped airing Jimmy Kimmel Live in reaction to Kimmel's monologue before ABC suspended the show. And this was all last week, remember. Sinclair said it will run news programming that time slot while it continues discussions with ABC and evaluates the show's potential return. That's if he apologises, I'd imagine. Nexstar said it was seeking assurances that all parties are committed to fostering an environment of respectful, constructive dialogue in the markets that we serve. Disney and ABC caving and allowing Kimmel back on the air is not surprising, but it's their mistake to make. Nexstar and Sinclair do not have to make the same choice. Andrew Colvert, a spokesperson for Kirk's organisation Turning Point USA, said in a post on X. Kimmel has been publicly silent since his suspension, but on Tuesday he posted a picture of himself with the late TV producer and free speech advocate Norman Lear on Instagram. "Missing this guy today," he wrote. And here we go into devil in the detail about why it was suspended. Initially, ABC did not explain on Wednesday why it indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live, which the network had aired since 2003. But Nexstar and Sinclair cited problematic comments regarding the murder of Charlie Kirk. On Monday, the Walt Disney Company, which owns ABC, offered more of an explanation. "We made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. I think that's BS. I think that would have run with it unless it was hitting them in the wallet, which obviously it did because the local TV stations pulled it. You can debate whether they make any money anyway after the Stephen Colbert thing, but whatever, it is what it is. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr called Kimmel's comments truly sick and had warned the network that its local affiliates could face repercussions if Kimmel was not punished. On Monday, Carr denied that he threatened to revoke ABC's local station licenses over Kimmel's remarks, and in putting Kimmel back on the air, the Walt Disney Company said, "We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday." Kimmel said that Kirk's death a senseless murder, a day after the fatal Utah shooting, and he condemned those who appeared to celebrate it, as well as Trump for trying to cast blame on the radical left. He also talked about the aftermath during the show the following week, targeting the response from both Trump and the president's supporters, whom he accused of working very hard to capitalize on the murder of Charlie Kirk. The comic focused particularly on the man accused of the killing, Tyler Robinson. The MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize the kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. Kimmel said in his monologue last Monday, in between the finger pointing, there was grieving. I guess that's obviously going to be up for debate as to how sincere that was, or whether he, was going on, and it carries on here. Kimmel said Trump's response is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish. He also said that FBI Chief Kash Patel has handled the investigation into the killing like a kid who didn't read the book, BSing his way through an oral report. And further enlightenment here comes from the BBC, which is not the most unbiased outlet in the world, but this is how they're covering the talk of the local TV station. Say they will not air Jimmy Kimmel Live despite Disney-owned ABC bringing back the comedian's late night show a week after he was suspended for comments about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Nexstar and Sinclair, which together run dozens of stations affiliated to ABC, I think it's quite a bit. It's quite a few actually. But so they will continue to replace the show with regular programming on Tuesday. Mr. Kimmel's remarks were inappropriate and deeply insensitive at a critical moment for the Trump shoot. We've been through all this, so BBC not reporting it unbiasedly because they go into the details of the potential controversy with the whole thing, which is Nexstar, one of the biggest owners of the TV station, said in a statement on Tuesday, "We made a decision last week to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live following what ABC referred to as Mr. Kimmel's ill-timed and insensitive comments at a critical time for our national discourse. We stand by that decision pending assurance that all parties are committed to fostering an environment of respectful, constructive dialogue in the network markets that we serve. Nexstar is currently trying to close a $6.2 billion deal to acquire its rival Tegna, which would require a green light from the FCC themselves, hence why, Trump appointed FCC head, said something controversial, whatever way you look at it, I think it's not good either way. Look, in an you're right to say maybe Jimmy Kimmel should just tell jokes. Not wrong to say that, in my opinion. The other thing is Jimmy Kimmel should have the right to free speech. Of course, I agree with that as well. And you've got the fact that there's potential corporate maneuvering here. Disney sort of catering to whoever best serves them. Last week it was Nexstar and the FCC. This week it's seemingly all the Hollywood celebrities that went up in arms because they took it off. So and you've got the potential of the president interfering with what's perceived as free speech. Whichever way you look at it, it is what it is, and it's a bit of a mess. Either way, Jimmy Kimmel will be live tonight on ABC. Probably not. Well, no, we know it's not going to be on Nexstar and Sinclair local stations, but I'm sure his audience will probably have increased from this time last week. So expect a potentially gangbusting rating, depending on sort of the outlets covering it. What they should do, if I was a businessman or as I was in charge of Disney, I'd put that thing on YouTube. Watch the ad revenue come in, because that thing, probably everyone's going to be tuning in, whether you're on the left or the right, to see what he says. So you might as well cash in while you can and earn some money. And that's the cynic in me talking. At the end of the day, we are still talking about an assassination. So I think in the end, respect has got to be due, really, because whatever you thought about the man, he man's dead. It's not right, where you look at it. And this finger pointing, this blame culture, this right versus left thing, that's just so exhausting. It's so exhausting. I just, at the end of the day, it's a sad situation that's been extrapolated over 3 weeks now, with finger pointing and blame game. Hopefully the person who did assassinate Charlie Kirk is brought to justice, and sympathy should be extended to the family and his friends, and whatever you think of them. There's still grief happening here. That's sort of my overall feeling towards the thing. Apart from the fact I'm covering it because it's a newsworthy story that's about media and pop culture, so that's why I'm covering it. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below if you dare, because this is a tense subject. Please leave a like, subscribe on the channel, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.